Good morning. This is the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for this Monday, May 8th. Taking a look at our precipitation for the past 7 days on the left-hand side, had some good moderate amounts. These green areas, anywhere from a ½ inch to an inch and a half of precipitation across the higher terrain of Idaho and across the Sierra front in the western portion of the Great Basin, but much lighter amounts. A hundredth to a tenth of an inch where you see the lighter shades of blue, and of course many areas that have no shading have received no precipitation this week, percent of normal on the right hand side. Here's a look at our upper level satellite imagery with height map superimposed showing deep low pressure off the Baja area, pushing up lots of subtropical moisture through New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, extreme eastern areas of Nevada. Northwestern portions of the region should stay mainly dry. We have strong high pressure well off into the Pacific, and we really don't expect to see much of any high pressure this week. Very slow moving low pressure with this southeasterly flow should dominate our weather pattern over the next few days, and possibly another low dropping down out of the Gulf of Alaska later in the period. So here's a look at our upper level maps on the left hand side showing that deep low pressure and its associated moisture across the Baja region, and with the south and southeasterly flow you can see that moisture pushing into the southeastern portions of our geographic area, Arizona Strip and portions of Utah and even Nevada. Drier air to the north and west. Dispersion overall pretty good. We see the areas in white and even the yellow. Very few areas of limited dispersion, which are typically shown in the red and purple. Now if we look at our transport winds on the left-hand side, you see that good southeast flow pushing up into Utah and the Arizona Strip and kind of rotating back to a more northerly direction across parts of central and western Nevada. Mixing heights look pretty good, mainly above 3,000 feet or so on the right-hand side. Now on Tuesday, that low pressure just very slowly tracks to the east and still influencing our weather with that rotation of moisture pushing into the region. On the right-hand side, great overall dispersion where you see mostly areas in the white, which is what you typically expect when you're closer to low pressure as opposed to high pressure. And in terms of transport winds, still pretty good speeds here in the orange. We have speeds of 20 to 30 knots and really very few areas of stagnation. Mixing heights look good too, mainly above 3,000 feet and some areas above 5,000 or 6,000. And then if we look towards Wednesday, still that low pressure lingers in the Four Corners region, influencing mainly the eastern portion of the Great Basin. A weak ridge of high pressure trying to build in across the western portion of the Great Basin. You can see overall still good dispersion. A few areas of limited dispersion given in those areas in the red. And then looking at transport winds on the left-hand side, still decent across a good portion of the area. You see the darker green and oranges starting to weaken a bit across northern Nevada and up into parts of Idaho. Vertical mixing overall pretty good as well. Now the Utah Clearing Index, which is another measure of dispersion, Monday through Wednesday, shows excellent conditions. Today and Tuesday, starting to go a little bit downhill on Wednesday as a weak ridge of high pressure tries to arc in from the west. Now precipitation over the next 7 days, you can see moderate amounts in the dark green is a quarter to a ½ inch. Areas in the blue closer to an inch of rain in a few pockets, some heavier thunderstorms, significantly drier as you head further north and to the west. Here's a look a bit further down the road on Thursday. Here in the Great Basin area, we have finally that low pressure area weakens and heads out into the plain states. But just as that happens, another low pressure system drops down from the Gulf of Alaska into the Pacific Northwest with more southwest flow and moisture. In the meantime, good southerly transport flow, excellent dispersion across all areas on Thursday. And similar story on Friday. On the right-hand side, excellent dispersion. Just about everybody who gets sun and southerly flow will have excellent overall ventilation. On the left-hand side, you'll see that's because low pressure is continuing to approach the region. And then heading into the weekend, Saturday, low pressure moves onshore across the Pacific Northwest. You can see a bit more moisture in our northern areas. But good southwest transport flow or westerly transport flow. So again, dispersion on the right-hand side remains excellent in just about all areas. And on Sunday, that low pressure kind of deepens and sinks southwards towards California, still in a good southwest flow. And that proximity to low pressure again keeps our dispersion excellent across just about all areas. So definite improvement in dispersion as we go through the period. Precipitation accumulation towards the latter part of the week. This is Thursday through Saturday morning. Just a few scattered light amounts, probably early in a period across the Wasatch. Some of this comes in with that next low pressure area, about a quarter to a half inch up into the mountains of central Idaho. Otherwise, in most other areas, Nevada, Utah, Arizona Strip, stays mainly dry. Taking a look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us from May 15th through the 21st, see a signal of much cooler than normal conditions across the Great Basin, especially western areas, and also wetter than normal. So we'll be under the influence of low pressure for much of next week. Keep that in mind. This concludes our briefing. Our next briefing will be coming up this Friday. Have a great day.